How do you use AI in pre-construction, construction, and project management without over-engineering it? Because that's where everyone falls down. Half don't trust AI at all, and the other half building an elaborate system that collapses in a fortnight. Hi guys, this is Toby, and I've delivered $12 billion of global giga projects, and for the last 2 years, I've run AI inside live developments, not demos, real projects. And in this video, I'll be showing you the jobs that AI already does brilliantly, and the one rare habit that keeps every output safe and of a higher quality than your peers, and also the AI trap that catches almost everyone out in this industry right now. So let me start with a confession, because this truism will save you months. The first time I asked AI to draft a project report, the output was just completely dreadful. It read like an overcomplicated management consultant who had never actually left the office. It had long words, theory, but had no numbers or conclusions. And even a graduate on their first day would blush at submitting this piece of work. But I needed this AI experiment to work because reporting was eating up pretty much every evening I had per week. And I was certain that AI and automation could be the way out. So I had a choice. I could bin the whole idea and the whole concept, which is very nearly what I did, or I could work from where I was going wrong and really try and understand how to make substantial improvements. And here's the one thing that changed everything. I stopped asking the AI that I was working with to work from nothing and started feeding it my own material, my old appraisals, my old board papers, progress report, years of documents that had already showed how I think, how I write, good output looks like for me, and what good output looks like in my world. And then I trained it the way that I train a person. Every time it produced something incorrect or odd or out of place, I told it what the mistake was, and I told it to remember not to do it next and to do this instead of that. And I kept those corrections saved, and eventually over time they started to compound. And within a few days, the drafts stopped sounding like a consultant and started sounding like me on my best 3 espresso filled morning. And that's the mental model that I want to hand you. An untrained AI is a brilliant graduate on their first morning. Enormous brain power and ambition, but very little induction and specific knowledge. So you wouldn't let the new joiner email your biggest client on day one, just as you wouldn't sack them for a very small mistake on their first day either. You'd train them. Everyone who tells you that AI hallucinates and is too risky is describing an employee that they've never taken the time to actually induct and train into their workflows. And once it's trained, you won't go back to working without it, because we're going to show you just how much time it can really save you in a week. But it's really the second brain that has read every single document on your project, and it never gets tired of being asked even the same questions. So then the question is, how do you run that induction without a tech team? And the answer is within 3 moves in 20 minutes that I'm going to describe now. The first move is create a project inside your chosen AI, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, and load all of the documents you reach for consistently. The specs, the prelims, the program, the report, the budget, and feed it 2 or 3 of your best past reports that really provide the output information that you're after. The next step is to write 5 lines about who you are, the overview of the project, and how you usually like to get answers. So for me, it's Toby Quirk, Senior Vice President of Development, what I've done over the last 12 years, and I really like answers that find the exact detail and give me as shorter explanation as possible to give me the maximum amount of information. And then step 3, every time it does something incorrect, like overly complicates an answer, just tell it how to correct itself. Tell it what good looks like. These corrections after a few days will significantly compound the quality of output you get. And that's the training. You do that and your AI graduate stops being a liability within days, which then raises the obvious question of, once it's trained, where does it actually earn its keep? Where are the key tasks that it can really amplify your output? Now, I've covered this in a few videos, but I really want to emphasize the point here, and we'll run through it quick. So contract reviews, obligation, notice periods, and payment terms all into a register that you'll actually read. Now, AI is great at taking vast quantities of 400 pages and distilling it into the absolute priorities. So if you take things like tender and bid comparisons, you take the returns from 3 different contractors, you normalize them into one document, you can see who's priced for what and what has actually been left out. You can also do these things for takeoffs, 2D drawings, meeting minutes, progress reports, and procurement logs built straight from the specification. None of this is futuristic, it's something that could be done next Tuesday. And if you're not doing any of these yet, the super prompts that we give away specifically for construction and real estate development is in the link below for absolute free. Get your hands on that and this will tell you exactly where to start and how to get this AI moving in the right direction. But none of those are the reason that I made this video. There's one use that sits a level above all of this initial prompting and getting it to do your grunt work. And it surprises even the biggest AI skeptics. And on the projects that I've seen, it's the one with the most capitalization and money saving power attached to it. So early in construction, you've got a problem. You need a program and a procurement list months before you've got a contractor to give you one. So we started testing something. I gave the AI the basic parameters, the building type, the size, the number of stories, the structural integrity, the rough value, and the location. And then I asked it for a first cut construction sequence and any long lead procurement items that it can see being a complication. When we compared the list that it provided us to the actual final cut of what our contractor and trades eventually produced, they were startlingly close. They weren't perfect, but close enough that ignoring them would have been negligent. Now, on the long lead items especially, the AI caught the things that, in my experience, usually surface 3 months too late. Things like switch lifts, facade packages, and specialist structural steel. Now, before anyone panics, here's the philosophy and most important sentence in this entire video, and always something I emphasize to all of my clients. AI drafts, the human decides. We're not sending an AI built program to a funder or a board unchecked. Nobody serious about what we do in this industry is ever going to suggest that. So how do you actually use a draft that you don't fully trust yet? And here's the mechanic that we use, and you can steal it today. We call it the 2-column rule. In the procurement log, every item starts in a column marked AI draft. And as the design team or quantity surveyor and eventually the trades confirm each item, it moves over to the verified column. So over the lifespan of pre-construction and the early stages of construction, the AI column slowly empties and the verified column starts to fill. So by the time it matters, every line has been checked by a human and verified. And there's a bonus in this. Every correction that you make feeds straight back into the induction from earlier. So the quality of the drafts climb week after week. So every time you change from AI to human, you give the AI the human answer. So it lowers its gap of knowledge. So when you ask it again for your next project, it's a lot more accurate. And again, this continues to compound. And that's the point that most people miss. The value was never that the AI draft was perfect. The value is that you had a working program and procurement list in week 1 instead of month 3. So you started acting while acting was still cheap. An imperfect plan easily beats a perfect plan that comes in late. Every time on every project that I've ever seen. That's the cardinal rule. Which brings me to the AI trap that I promised at the start of the video. And the market is filling up fast with tools that have just bolted AI onto the same old crap. An AI schedule or an AI risk register or an AI feasibility that just reruns the same network logic your program was already built on. And that's not intelligence. It's just the old maths with a new haircut. It's the same on the development side as well. An AI evaluation tool that's never seen a local comparable evidence is just guessing wearing a suit. The rule here is simple. AI is only ever as good as the method and the data you train it with. So give it your parameters, your benchmark, your logic, and it becomes an expert in your specific project and your specific preferences. If you take a generic tool's word for it without training it, then all you've done is just automate somebody else's assumptions into your model. And that's what over-engineering actually looks like. It's more software with less thinking. So that's the method. And here's my challenge to you. Don't go and build some AI strategy. Instead, just pick one task this week, a contract review or a procurement list or a progress report, and run the 20-minute induction process that we spoke about at the start of this video. Keep your eyes on every single output and let the AI run the next task for you. If you'd rather have the whole map out of every single task that you could possibly automate with your own data, then book a call with us in the link in the description below, and we'll go through your business or your personal workflow and show you exactly where AI layers to 10x your output. And comment below the task that you're going to start with. I genuinely read every one, so I can perhaps offer you some advice down there. And one more thing before we go, a trained AI is only half the job. What you type into it decides what you get back out, and that's where most people leak value. The exact super prompts I use for every single task development related is in the description below for free. Thanks very much, guys. See you in the next one.